I'm Max Kellerman. Welcome to This Just In, a fast hour around the world of sports and how I and some of my friends see it. That is NFL insider Dan Graziano, Harry Douglas, and Coach Herm Edwards will join us in a moment. We start with Odell Watch. Dak and the Cowboys find themselves 7-3. They beat down the Vikings at Minnesota 40-3. Largest point differential on the road in franchise history. Jerry Jones said it might have been the most complete game he's seen from Dallas in over 30 years. And with Odell Beckham expected to make a decision on his future soon, could the rich get richer? Here's Jerry Jones.
The same guy that's talking about going and getting a receiver and going out here and making a move like that right now has got to be thinking past Thursday, would you think?
Yes,
Beckham?
sir. Yep.
So how do you wear that? That's one of the advantages of being the owner and the general manager. The main thing is that everybody would agree with. If you can improve this team right now and it's within reason, you should do it. We've got a chance.
There he is, 10-year vet Harry Douglas and the esteemed Coach Herm Edwards.
Oh, boy.
Graz, what's the latest you're hearing on the Odell market?
I was just thinking, there are probably a lot of advantages to being the coach or the owner and the general manager, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's probably a pretty sweet combination of things to be. So here's the thing with Odell Beckham, right? I think after Thanksgiving, things start to heat up. And what that means is that's when teams start to look at bringing him in, seeing how healthy he is, talking turkey about what the contract will look like. And none of that stuff has happened yet, right? So Dallas has made no secret that they're interested in him. But, if it gets to a point where he runs and it doesn't look like he can run like he used to, if it gets to a point where he's asking too much in the contract, there's no question they could back off. So a lot still has to happen here in the next couple of weeks. I still think it's probably mid-December before he's on the field for anybody, and we'll see what happens. But the Cowboys are definitely in that mix.
Coach, you are the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. How much do you want Odell on this team?
Well, you want him, but let me just make one more comment before I get into my answer with that. Jerry said he was the owner, the GM. He forgot the PR director as well.
Yeah,
right?
For
because
sure.
He's got 3 titles, right? He's got 3 titles. But I think that there's a lot of decision that has to go in this. It's more than just a talented player. Where's his health at, obviously? You're going to get him for 6 games and then a playoff run. And then how do you add him into your offense? You better have a plan for this guy. He's not coming there to be a decoy. He wants to catch the ball, right? I mean, that's what he wants to do. So all those things become part of it. He hasn't practiced yet. There's a lot of layers to this. I would actually go talk to some of the leaders on the football team about a decision of bringing him in and how they feel about that. Because, the Dallas Cowboys are a unique team in this sense. And Jerry's done a great job, and I love Jerry. He's a great promoter for the NFL, but especially for the Dallas Cowboys. They get a lot of attention. Rightly so, especially this year because they're playing well. But even when they're not playing well, they get attention. We always talk about the Cowboys. There's a reason there's a star in the middle of the field, right? They're the Cowboys. And so with all that, that's part of it if you bring in a guy like Odell Beckham, right? I mean, it's going to be news. It's going to be newsworthy.
For sure. And by the way, now that all the talk is about Dallas, you think of the weather, the no state income tax, the proximity to where he's from, plus where he is now in L.A., the team, his usefulness for the team. Harry, it didn't take him too long to catch on in L.A. last year, and he looked like he was on his way to Super Bowl MVP when he got hurt. What do you think about the fit in Dallas for Odell?
Well, first we got to understand that Odell Beckham Jr. is a bona fide playmaker, and I think him and CeeDee Lamb, I think they will pair well with one another. Here's the thing, and Coach kind of touched on it a little bit. I'm worried about Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator, when Odell Beckham comes in, because we understand right now what the formula is. That's running the football. But is Kellen Moore going to get pass happy if you do bring an Odell Beckham Jr. in there on your roster? Because there's just something to be said when you got that Ferrari sitting in the garage and you want to go out and test drive it and play with it a little bit more than you probably should be doing. That's the situation that Kellen Moore is going to be in, having CeeDee Lamb, having Odell Beckham Jr. Now, your team is going to change because you're more dynamic, but they cannot stray away from the formula, which is rushing the football and then let everything come off of that.
Roz, last word.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember this. When he signed with the Rams last year, before they agreed to a contract, he and Sean McVay had a conversation. Here's how you're going to fit into this offense. Here's the role we want you for. Now, it expanded because Robert Woods got hurt that week that he showed up, but I think that's important, and Coach made that point. Like, how do you fit him into the offense? There has to be a clear and defined plan for that, and he has to understand what it is.
Graz, it's time to move on to your favorite NFL player. Another night, another Jimmy G victory!
Oh, this guy.
All the guy does is win, Graz. Jimmy the Great went 20 for 29, 4 TDs. The Niners rolled 38-10 over the Cardinals. They're 4-0 in the division. They haven't won a game by fewer than 15 points in the division. Tell me wins isn't a quarterback stat, Graz. He wins twice as much as he loses for franchises that only lose twice as much as they win when he's not playing. So if he's so easy to replace, then Shanahan or whomever would be able to replace him and win more. It's not like they're 500 without him. The Eagles still the odds-on favorite in the NFC conference. But Niners continues to close the gap, obviously. The Cowboys not too far behind. Vegas favoring Brady and the Bucks along with the Vikings. Time for another edition of My Word Against Yours. The debate topic is who will win the NFC? Let's start with Coach.
The NFC, the whole NFC division, huh?
Whole NFC, the whole conference.
I've struggled with this, but I'm going with the Eagles. I'm going with the Eagles over the 49ers, and here's why. I think they're built similar in this sense. They're very talented. They got a lot of talented guys on their roster. I think the 49ers can run the ball very nicely. The Eagles can run the ball now very well. And I think the quarterback is the difference. His ability to make plays with his legs. That's going to be the key. If they have to play against each other, his ability to make the unannounced play with his legs. We saw it last week when they were struggling a little bit on offense. That's what he brings to the table. But when you look at both of these teams, boy, they're very, very good. I mean, and the 49ers are getting better every week. They're scary.
Well, I actually tweeted about 2 months ago that I wanted to see the Eagles and the 49ers play in the NFC Championship game. But, Coach, I might have to go with the San Francisco 49ers. You look at that defense right now, they just got Al Shire back at the linebacker position. You talk about Greenlaw, Al Shire, and also Fred Warner. I don't think you have a three linebacker tandem that's better than those three guys. Also, you look at the defensive line. We look at the games that the Eagles have struggled, right? The Washington Commanders, the Indianapolis Colts. Front line, guys that can rush the passer with just 4 guys instead of blitzing. I like the safeties and the corners that they actually have in San Francisco. But running the football, we know Kyle Shanahan is going to do that, especially when it comes playoff time. And I think the Eagles are going to have a hard time stopping their run game.
I got to tell you, I like the Eagles preseason because I thought they are the best on the line of scrimmage and they have a lot of other stuff. Niners are not going to get pushed around on the line of scrimmage by anybody. That makes them tough. And when you look at that offense, Jay Will pointed it out on the radio this morning. Think of how Sam Darnold looked with Christian McCaffrey, right? He made Sam Darnold a year ago look pretty good early in the season. Then McCaffrey got hurt and it went sideways. They now not only have McCaffrey, the best running back who's also a wideout, but they have Debo, the best wideout who's also a running back, and they got Kittle. When they have everybody healthy, this offense is a whole lot. Never mind the defense. And then you have a quarterback in Jimmy G who makes deeper runs in the playoffs more consistently when he's healthy than anyone other than Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. He's been healthy 2 seasons. He was a throwaway from winning the Super Bowl, an interception away from getting back. The team is loaded again. He's reading defense. He's getting the ball out quick. Whatever else you don't like about him, he does that well, Graz. I think the answer is the Niners.
I think it's the Eagles. And part of the reason is they have such a lead on the rest of the conference right now at 9-1. They are the odds-on favorite to get the 1 seed and the bye, which matters. Only one team gets a bye anymore. So that's one of the reasons I favor them. I also think, the Dallas Cowboys belong in this conversation. Like, if you were impressed with what the Niners did last night, you had to be impressed with what the Dallas Cowboys did the day before in a real road game against a team that went into the game 8-1. They absolutely dominated the Minnesota Vikings. And I think they're as good as these two teams and belong in the mix. I don't think it's as simple as Eagles or 49ers. Cowboys could challenge the Eagles yet in the East. The Bucs are 5-5.
They are 5-5, but if you're talking about where they're trending, let's say the playoffs start, they're going to win the South. The playoffs are about to start. Who do you trust more in the playoffs than Tom Brady? Right? Let's be honest. Guy won the Super Bowl the year before last.
Sure, but he didn't win last. You can trust him all you want, but what kind of team do you have around you?
Pretty good one.
I think Philadelphia's depth ends up being the difference, especially if they go in with that 1 seed.
Coach, what do you think?
Well, I like Philly at home if they get to play at home, and I know how that feels playing in that stadium if you're playing a home game, especially a championship game. And I just think when you look at the 49ers, I love the 49ers. Look, one of my best friends is the GM there, John Lynch. And I hate to take the Eagles over the 49ers. It's a slight edge, but I do believe this. The 49ers secondary, there's a bunch of young guys there, right? And they're vulnerable at times. They're vulnerable when you throw the ball down the field on them.
Yeah, the Eagles, Mailata and Kelsey and these guys, they got an offensive line. So do the Niners. They got a defensive line. So do the Niners, right? I mean, if you like the Eagles, maybe it comes down to the quarterback can do a little bit more. But he's not as experienced as Jimmy G. It's I'll
say this really quick, y'all. I'll say this really quick. Jalen Hurts is going to have to be able to get that football off. Me and Graz, we did that game this weekend against the Colts, and it was tough for him to even get the football off. And I'm looking at the 49ers and the way they rush the passer, that could be a key component in that game if they match up in the championship.
Getting rid of that thing quick. Yep. Do the Jets have a quarterback problem? Their coach wouldn't commit to Zach Wilson, second overall pick a couple years ago, starting against the Bears this week. Should he get one more week or hit the bench? And Aaron Judge was spotted at the airport in San Francisco. Should the Yankees be worried about